Move on to the next presentation by Moura from Payvision. He's head of data science. There we go. Welcome, Raul.
Thank you. Yeah, Joao Moura, difficult name. So yeah, thanks for the introduction. I'm Joao Moura, the head of data science for Payvision. Payvision, as you've heard yesterday, is now sort of a part of the ING group. So Payvision is a global merchant acquirer and a provider of omni-channel payment services. So basically, we have loads of data that we can do cool stuff with. So today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what I think is the next generation of fraud and risk monitoring, and how AI can really help us bring about a better ecosystem, let's say. All right. So I truly believe that in 10 years' time, everything in society will be AI-driven. So what I mean by AI-driven is that AI will not just be used to develop individual projects or programs, and there will be a few models that are individually doing some stuff, but rather AI will sit on the driver's seat and will make decisions, and will make the decisions autonomously, and with access to loads of different information, of course. So how does this reflect in our industry? So the payments industry is quite fragmented. It's an industry that has a lot of different touch points. So on average, I'd say that 6 or 7 different players touch a transaction from end to end. So there's a lot of data. There's a lot of data points. And so because of that, there's a lot of things that can be done by AI. So I'd say that there are the most important things that can be touched by AI are really cost optimization, of course, authorization rate optimization, and fraud detection. So fraud, risk management, detection, and optimization. And it is very well known that AI in general is better than humans. So I disagree with Dirk. Better than humans at detecting patterns. So AI is capable of recognizing patterns that humans cannot really detect, because we cannot look at all data points that are available, let's say. So there are 2 large lanes that I want to discuss today. So I'll focus on the fraud part, of course. And there are 2 large lanes that I want to discuss. So the first one is really about the payment flow. So from merchant onboarding, from that stage onwards, so once a merchant starts processing payments with the PSP, then we need to do credit card fraud detection. And then still with the most developed and most advanced credit card fraud detection models, fraud will still happen. And fraud leads to chargebacks, which tend to clog up systems. So be them automated systems or dispute management departments, let's say. So I can say that we process tens of thousands of chargebacks a year at Payvision. So that number in mind. So in parallel to all of this, and a bit under the hood, if we have a holistic approach to this sort of problems, if AI is central, then we can detect money laundering as well. So we can, AI is one touch point, let's say, and having a lot of information allows us to do continuous risk monitoring and to hopefully detect money laundering activities. So starting from the first step, so we basically, we need to compute a risk score. So when a merchant comes to us and asks us to start processing, we need to compute a risk score. And so we need to take a lot of different information into consideration, and we want basically benchmark this merchant against similar merchants. And often what the merchant says, be it because they don't know or because they are actually sometimes trying to trick us, is not real, it's not what's really true. So we need to investigate ourselves, and because we onboard a lot of merchants, we need to do this automatically, or at least we need to have automated tools that, that really dig deep, for instance, into the merchant's websites and really try to detect and to extract data. And then with all of that data, we can compute a score. This is very important because this score will determine how the fraud detection, the credit card fraud detection models are used for that merchant. So it is, it's standard, let's say, in this field to use two different techniques. So one is to characterize well-known normal patterns, let's say. So what's normal for us as cardholders, and then look for deviations from those normal patterns that, of course, had problems in the past. So we're all here. Most of us probably are not from Berlin. And if you go and try to pay with your credit card, it's not a very good thing, I'd say, not very convenient if your issuer just blocks the transaction because you are out of your home city, right? So, but if you are working with an old issuer, then I hope you have cash with you. So this is one of them. So hopefully, hopefully we are past this. So hopefully we're able to aggregate information and data, and we are able to be a little bit more flexible. The other way is to characterize what are well-known fraud patterns, so transactions that look the same and are actually fraudulent. And then we want to, given a new transaction, we want to see if that transaction looks like a well-known fraud pattern and catch those transactions. This is pretty standard. I would say that right now, this is pretty well covered in the industry. So fraud detection, credit card fraud detection, is not an extremely complex issue anymore because the machine learning really evolved a lot. So still, again, if we have very good machine learning models and if we are employing state-of-the-art AI, fraud will still happen. So, and for many reasons, because we don't want to have too many false positives. So the thresholds and all the, the way we use the models need to be a little bit more lenient in some cases, a little bit more strict in some other cases. But still, there will be fraud. So with fraud come chargebacks, and chargebacks are difficult to process. So the variance is huge in chargebacks, and typically they are handled by human dispute management agents. So what we are also doing, and what I think is a good idea for PSPs and even merchants to do, is to basically automate parts of this and to create what I call AI dispute management agents, autonomous agents. So for this, these agents need to perform actions on web tools. So they need to extract text from different points, so be it from email that comes from merchants or cardholders, or documents with some evidence, whatever. And we need to process that text using NLP, and natural language processing techniques, but we also need to understand that text, so using natural language understanding techniques. So once we have extracted all the data points that we can for this case, then we want to characterize this chargeback as being one known or pertaining to one known type of chargeback. And then we look back and see how was this type of chargeback handled in the past by humans. And so what actions were taken, and what's the a priori probability of success given that we take a certain set of actions or a certain stream of actions. So this allows us to plan with given probabilities of success. And then, of course, we need to take the actions, and we need to, after each action is performed, we need to follow up on that action and maybe revise our plan. So this is a really continuous sort of approach. This, of course, saves a lot of cost and time, and tends to unclog the operations departments. So this is about the payments flow. So now there's let's say, the batch processing, so something that runs a little bit on the side and continuously looks at transactions, aggregates transactions, looks at segments, merchants, etc. So we want to adapt, and we want to continuously monitor risk for merchants. So risk is not stable. It's the way it starts is never the way it is after a month or two. And so we want to look back to the past, and given the past, for whatever metric you can think about, we want to forecast the future. And then we want to, given our forecast, we want to monitor what's really going on with that metric. And if the metric falls inside the predicted or the forecasted threshold, let's say, or band, then all is good, and we can proceed, but often it doesn't. So often there are breaks in this processing patterns, and we want to detect those breaks in a timely fashion, of course, and we want to be able to look at those breaks and try to understand what they are. So it can be because of seasonality or whatever, but if we have enough data, that seasonality potentially can be accounted for, but it can be because of something else. So a merger and acquisition, whatever. It can be because of something else, but we want to characterize it. We want to send it to our risk department if necessary. If they determine that it's a good break, then this becomes the new norm. If not, we want to really see what the merchant is doing. And then there's of course this big bad bug, I'd say, or boogeyman. So money laundering is a problem, and it's something that we as players in this field really have the responsibility to look at and to be careful with this, because money laundering activities are used to finance terrorism. So it's something that really impacts society. It's not something. It's not just about business or business as usual. It's really about an impact in society. So often here, what we want to do in order to detect potential money laundering activities is to look for, let's say, patterns that are normal within a given segment. So we look at merchants within a given segment, and or card holders with a typical, with some profile, and we want to look for deviations from those normal patterns, but deviations not towards bad behavior, but towards behavior that is too good to be true, let's say. So typically, merchants or card holders that are involved in money laundering want to fly under the radar. They want to, they won't use stolen credit cards for this. It makes no sense. Potentially they can, but that's a little bit different. But the really very well-organized ones typically want to fly under the radar. They are quite well equipped to be able to do this effectively. So, yeah, again, this whole thing is really very, very interesting and important. But I basically, I believe that in the industry we really have to invest in AI, and it's not something that you should think about tomorrow. It's something that you should have thought about before. If you haven't, then you really should think about it right now, because all of these techniques are here to help, and they are not. I would say that they are not expensive anymore, and they really they are really effective. So with AI in payments, we are able to control risk. So we are able to do risk monitoring real time with a, if you centralize, if you put your AI in the driver's seat, let's say, and route every transaction that you see through it, then it really becomes powerful because it has multiple angles for this, and basically it helps you improve fraud management and also process chargebacks. And as a byproduct, it really is good for continuous risk monitoring and detecting money laundering. So it's me, we can talk, and really don't be this guy. Yeah, square rule.
Great, thank you very much, Joao. Good stuff.